Welcome to Everyday Parenting, a down to earth podcast presented by Bricks and Blocks Coaching. Tune in as we dive into the real life experiences of parents. Today, we're joined by two wonderful dads, Richard and Nishant. They're here to share their experiences and insights of maintaining an active lifestyle while managing their children. Hi, Nishant. Hi,
Hello.
Richard.
Hi, Shweta.
Hi,
Richard.
Shweta. Nice to see you.
Before we start, would you like to introduce yourself to our audience, Nishant?
Yes, sure. So, hi guys. I'm a dad to a 20-month-old boy, not 20-year. Sorry, my bad. 20-month-old boy, and I currently I'm based out of Singapore and work for HP as a Southeast Asia e-commerce sales manager.
You look like a 25-year-old. How can you have a 20-year-old?
Yes, I
Come
know.
on.
I know.
How about you, Richard?
So I'm a dad of two boys. So Neil is 7, Ryan is 2. I'm married. My wife is from India, so the two boys are torn slightly, I guess, between which cricket team to support. I work in marketing, I had the first boy when I was about 40, and the second one was about 45, and so I'm a ever so slightly older dad. Which just means that you need really good look after your knees, kids. You're gonna need them when you get older. But that's me.
Yeah, so we have an all boys team today, is it?
Yes, all boys.
Yeah. And I do know both of you are a lot into fitness. So tell us about your fitness routine, Nishant.
I think it's for me. It's more about having that sort of a consistency or discipline in my daily routine. I try to clock in maybe 4 to 5 times a week, maybe a run or a workout or whatever I can do or a home workout. So I think consistency is my only friend versus motivation, because I think motivation at times can be a bit more treacherous, right? Leaves you here and there. But I think in all your low times, what remains always with you is your discipline. So stick to that friend, because when motivation ditches you, I believe discipline is the only thing that could help you. So I think I live and breathe by that mantra and try and make time, whether in the evenings or in the mornings. I'm not usually a morning person, so I prefer not to go out for a workout in the mornings, except when it's a weekend. But I definitely try to get at least half an hour to 45 minutes for 4 to 5 times a week.
Yes, Richard, what's your fitness routine?
So it's evolved a bit. So I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. I love to do all sports. The more competitive, the better. But I guess the things that I would do the most is running, cycling, and when I can find the time, playing a bit of cricket. But you name it, tennis, squash, swimming, I'm down for anything. So pre-kids, there was quite a few triathlons, and I've done 10 marathons so far and countless half marathons. Post-kids, a lot less, but I guess we'll get into that in a bit.
That gets us to the core of the topic we are talking about. What is this fitness routine, pre-kids and post-kids? What's happened to that, Richard?
Well, they say, okay, so the thing about triathlons, they say it's an amazing way to suck at 3 disciplines. But no, in all seriousness, when you are training for a triathlon, it takes a lot of time. So you've got to be able to run 21K, swim almost 2K, and then cycle about 90. So if you're planning your fitness sessions during the week, you need at least half an hour. But no, actually, that's not true at all. At least an hour a day, almost. So if you can take your lunch break, that's awesome. Or if you can do, living in Singapore, it's super hot, right? So like early in the morning when it's slightly cooler, or later in the evening. And so if you're living the single life and you're unmarried and no kids, you can kind of do this. It's still quite tricksy. When kids come along, you have to choose. And I think that for me, I found it sort of transitioning to just running. Because it's easier. You take a pair of shoes with you and you can do it anywhere, right? So that became what I sort of evolved towards doing. So less triathlons and more marathons. That became my sort of fitness routine with kids.
How about you, Nishant? What's happened pre-kids and post-kids?
So, one key observation or one key realization is that pre-kids, time and energy were two resources which were luxuriously available at hand. And I think post-kids, time and energy are the two most constrained resources, right? So I think prior to having kids, you have decent enough of time, to stretch your workouts to hour and a half, to train well, right? At the same point of time, you are perpetually so self-centered and focusing on yourself that all your energy goes into yourself, and you don't have to focus on any of the other responsibilities of managing a kid or taking the kid out. So I think post having a kid, these two are major resources that definitely go under a crunch. And I think the key is on how to manage and achieve a perfect balance between both time and energy at any given point of time, which I think really helps.
Do you think because you are both into fitness and you're both uh, very active, does that rub off on the kids as well?
I mean, if I may start first, I think it's about setting the right boundaries. I mean, if we clearly define, let's say, our workout schedule or even our work hours, and ensure that we are making enough time during the day to fully engage with our family and our loved ones, I think that is the key. And then most importantly, it's quality over quantity, right? So depending on how much ever time you're spending with your kid, it's about how much compounding impact can you add during that half an hour, 45 minutes, which is more of an engaging sort of an interaction with your child, which makes it awesome. And I think most importantly also, how can you try and, rather than operating both of these in a separate silo, how do you combine both of them, the family and the workout piece together, right? I mean, let's say over a weekend, if you plan to go out for a workout, you might as well take your family along for a stroll, and you may work out in the garden, or which makes it, or play something with them, which kind of infuses both of these pieces together. And I think it does not really impact your family life. In fact, it creates a sense of a motivation in the entire family, to stay active, and there is one north star that the family follows, right? So I think my intent has always been to try and be that north star, where I focus on managing my time well, eat well, so that it overall the family also tends to follow a similar sort of a pattern if the results that they see in me are promising.
So does it motivate your child also to pick up running?
I mean, I think we can have two answers here, right? I mean, Richard can give his perspective when it comes to a 7-year-old child on how does he tame him, but I can definitely comment on the 2-year-old, I mean, 20-month-old baby, right? So I think I try and take him out when I go out for a run, or I'm doing some sort of a a weight-free exercise in a park, and he looks at me and he tries to emulate me. When he comes back home, I see him running, I see him squatting, I see him jumping from. I mean, of course, I don't want him to be jumping from a barbecue pit and tearing his knee wide open. But there are pros and cons to it. But definitely, I see him emulate me and do things which makes me happy. But maybe I would love to hear, Richard, from you on how do you do that for a 7-year-old man? Because then they have their own mind, and I'm sure they have their own sort of opinions. And with the given the social exposure, I'm sure they have a lot more to add on. Yeah, what are your thoughts, man?
No, for sure. So yeah, fitness, kids. So there's two kind of things, I guess, to look at it. There's your own fitness and making sure that as you become a parent, you don't let it go and let it slide, and that you could, I think you have to adapt. You have to be flexible. Uh, Trying to do things the way you've done it before will not happen. So for a couple of years, especially when the kids are kind of small and that, you got to compromise. But I think the second, and let's talk about this a bit more, is instilling a love in your kids of, it's not necessarily exercise as such or fitness, but it's getting outside the house, it's the outdoors. So away from screens, away from stuffy air conditioned or enclosed apartments, and into the parks, to the beaches, to trails, to whatever. And so when they're I guess anywhere from the age of 2 upwards, and they're starting to walk by themselves, anything that you can do that takes them out and into the outdoors is brilliant. That's all you need to do. And I think for me, in raising our eldest Neil, one of the best things that I've seen, of the most encouraging, is cycling. So from the age that he could balance on something with 2 wheels, I think for kids, like, there's not much they can do, right? They can't ride cars or go karts or do fly plane. They're limited, but a bicycle is unlocks a world for them. They can go faster than they could ever think of doing, and the excitement and the wind in the air in their hair. So just, I think for me, that's like the big unlock. So you get a kid onto a bike as soon as you can. And that's the unlock, not just for them, but for you as well. So, Dad, you want to go for a run? Kid comes along on a bike, more or less even pacing. Everyone wins, you know. So that I found one of the best things from encouraging Neil to get out and do stuff. So yeah, I guess it does. The more things that you encourage your kid to do as a parent, you've got to be willing to be that the chauffeur quite a lot. You know, their social calendar and sporting calendar will soon become infinitely broader than yours. That's okay.
How about your wife? How does she keep up with her routines or fitness? Does she manage to get time?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, I ensure she gets time, right? At the end of the day, and I think this is what we have discussed in our previous podcast as well, right? At the end, before having a child, you need to have a set of goals as to what do you really want out of your life. Once your child exits the family ecosystem, he has to fly the nest, right? So it's going to be you and your wife essentially. And if your plan is, let's say, to travel, to see the world, or to stay fit, or to do things together, right? So you one key criteria is for you to be healthy and for you to be fit, right? So if your larger goal is clear, then on an execution standpoint, you're very clear on what you need to do on a daily basis, right? So for me also as a husband, I am accountable to my wife. I need to ensure that the dream that we have after 20 years of traveling or seeing the world around, my wife needs to be healthy and fit for that. So during days, specifically when I'm working from home, and let's say I don't have any calls per se, so I tell her, why not you go out for a 45-minute run, or if you want to go out for a walk in the gym, or you want to go out for some grocery shop, whatever you feel like doing, right? Just get yourself out, take a break from the child as well. Let me manage the boy, and I ensure that at least 3 to 4 times in a week, specifically on weekdays, she does go out for a walk, so that both of us have a very balanced sense of happiness and fitness levels. So that's how I look at it. So it's not a personal fitness; it's a family fitness. So that should be the goal.
So it becomes a family thing.
Yeah, because you need to be selfish. If I don't do that, tomorrow is something. If she's sick, my boy is sick, then again I have to sacrifice on my workout time. So it's better I pull them with me at the beginning so that I don't have to spend my time in managing all the nonsense later, right? So there are two ways to look at it. So you start early and you make it a habit for the entire family. So all are moving in one direction.
Yeah, if I could just add, I think that's probably a really really good hack there. So if running is your thing, and if you do have a goal, I mean, for me, I find like setting myself a marathon or a half marathon or something in the future really helps me to work towards that rather than just go for a run randomly and how fast or how far should I go makes no difference. So if you can get your wife to sign up and share that then and sort of take it in turns to squeeze out time and find time for training and stuff. um, I think that would be a
That's
helpful
a
way rather
fantastic.
than
That's a
if you want to
fantastic
avoid
input.
seeming like husband is always going out and doing fitness and wife is with a kid. I mean, that's an imbalance that you can't have, right? So
No, absolutely. Fantastic idea. I should definitely ask her to
maybe.
sign up for one. Yeah, good idea. Thanks, man. Good stuff.
Okay, thank goodness my husband is not into running. Otherwise, he'll be asking me to sign up for a 5K or a 10K. I'm
No, but
happy
I
doing
think
one.
what Richard rightly mentioned, and when I heard him talk about his son Neil, that they have never gone for a run together. But let's say if they sign up, and even if for the marathon he ends up walking half of it, it's okay. The point is to move outdoors.
Any last pieces of advice to our other parents who are listening on?
Some people would say, oh, if the mom, it's their job to raise the kid, especially when they're very little. Like, what can a dad do? The kid needs care and attention and feeding and stuff that only mom can provide when they're little. And so, dad, you go off and you do your thing because mom needs to do that. And I would just add that I think for the mom, that's probably the toughest time. So whatever you're feeling as a slightly more constrained, father or parent, they're feeling 10x. So I think my advice would be is kind of make sure that your partner is getting what they need, whether it's mental space or whether it's the ability for them to just go out and on a pair of shoes and go for a run or a cycle or whatever, make sure that their needs are covered. Otherwise, uh, otherwise well, firstly, it's not fair. It's going to put a strain on the relationship. So do try and keep that in mind, almost more than your own fitness and stuff. I think as guys, we have it easy. Because we're not literally attached to the kid for their first 6, 12 months of we have more freedom and they're less dependent on us. So be there for your partner as much as you can, especially early on.
Nishant.
I think managing your time well is one key advice that I would like to give everyone. You will be sleep deprived, you will be energy deprived, but how do you efficiently manage your time and balance between work, family, your workout, your wife's workout is the key. And I think most important is to be flexible, right? Don't be constrained to a mindset of either going out for a workout in the evening, afternoon, or in the morning. So whatever prototype that you had pre-marriage, that's definitely gonna go. Shit is gonna hit the fan. It's better you realize, and it's better you get your flexibility shoes on, and do things in a lesser time, and and at any time, whether evenings or mornings. So I think time and flexibility is one. Third, I think is definitely don't look for motivation. It's never going to come, right? It's just going to hit you again and again. So just be disciplined. Try and have these 3 to 4 days. Block your calendars. Have some time in the day where you can do things your way, right? And most importantly, which I think what Richard mentioned was ensuring that your family moves along with you is the key, and specifically the mom, because the pain or the mental mayhem that you go through for a mom, it's she's primarily going through the same but on steroids, right? So how you try and support her, and let's say if she has been less of an active mom, you push her, you nudge her in that direction for her to find the passion that she wants to pursue, whether yoga, cycling, walking, anything which is physical. Try and be a bit less selfish. Try and allocate more time so that you can manage the child, you can take the child out, and the mom can also do her physical activity or any
Yeah,
sort of a passion that she has, because I think that definitely on the long run keeps the relationship stronger. Both the parties tend to respect each other's time, and what is most important is that the child sees both the parents doing the same thing, right? I mean, both are following a similar philosophy, and then for the child it's a no-brainer, and I think you are investing not in your wife, you're investing in generations to come, because when your child sees doing this for your mom, and he knows that he has to do it for his wife or for husband, whatever, right? I mean, then the mindset is very clear on supporting each other. So I think you sow these seeds which are gonna reap some phenomenal fruits for generations to come. So I think that would be one key takeaway which I would like to give and double click on what Richard also emphasized. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you both of you. It was a very, very interesting kind of conversation, and I hope other dads also find inspiration from this. It's not easy to find time with children, but then you have to have the discipline to go out, and also the it has to be a family thing. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much for that. Thanks, Richard.
thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Before we wrap up, don't forget to check the show notes in the episode description for extra parenting resources. We'd love to hear your stories, so reach out to us at bricksandblockscoaching.com. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Shweta, and this is Everyday Parenting. See you next time.